London, 1665. The Great Plague spread like wildfire through narrow streets. The air hangs thick with smoke, disease, and the tolling of death bells. Houses bear red crosses, marking those trapped within. The rich flee for safety, leaving the poor to face despair alone. Over 100,000 perish, nearly 1 in 5 of the city, and when silence finally falls, many sense that death itself still lingers nearby. Samuel Pepys watches London decay from behind closed shutters. He writes of deserted markets, shuttered windows, and lifeless alleys. Death carts rumble through the gloom, bells ringing for those inside. Though Pepys never writes of ghosts, fear thickens like a living mist. He senses something unspoken, a presence pressing upon the air. Many whisper that the dead walk close, unseen, yet always near. Dr. Nathaniel Hodges records every symptom with grim precision. His pages speak of fever, swollen flesh, and endless, hurried burials. But whispers tell of something worse, those buried before death. Neighbours claim faint sounds from coffins, muffled cries beneath the ground. Whether rumour or truth, panic spreads faster than infection itself. In a city drowning in corpses, even the soil feels haunted. Minister Thomas Vincent preaches to trembling crowds amid the chaos. He calls the plague divine punishment, a fire sent from heaven. People report comets blazing and ghostly lights drifting through the clouds. Some swear they see angels, others glimpse darker shapes watching above. In desperate times, faith and fear blur until one feeds the other, and every shadow becomes a sign from something unseen. Daniel Defoe captures the eerie stillness that followed the dead. He describes London as a hollow shell. Its heart stopped beating. Churches are locked, their bells silent, save for distant mourning. Windows glow faintly, but no footsteps sound upon the stones. Defoe writes of flickers of movement behind sealed doors at night, a city left breathing, yet filled with restless sighs of ghosts. Beneath Charterhouse Square lie thousands from 1665, buried together. Their bones rest shoulder to shoulder beneath London's modern life. When Crossrail unearthed the pit, a chill seemed to rise. Passers-by spoke of distant cries and strange vibrations underfoot. Some swear the ground murmurs when the wind is still. It's as if the dead have never forgiven being forgotten. All Saints' Churchyard in Isleworth holds the remains of plague victims. The fog rolls low here, clinging to cracked stones and leaning crosses. Locals tell of pale blue lights dancing over the graves. Others feel sudden cold, their skin prickling as if watched. Even when the night is calm, whispers ride upon the air. Many believe the restless spirits of 1665 still linger, unseen. Liverpool Street hides another mass grave, once called Bedlam Ground. Thousands of Londoners were laid here, hurriedly and without ceremony. When builders exposed these bones, unease rippled through the site. Workers reported chills, murmurs, and the faint sound of weeping. Some said the air grew heavier with every spade of earth. It was as though silence itself had been disturbed from its sleep. Aldgate Station sits atop another resting place of the plagued dead. An estimated 1,000 souls lie just beneath the rumbling trains. Night workers speak of footsteps echoing through empty tunnels. Doors slam, lights flicker, and shadows move when none should. A few claim to glimpse figures in old garb passing by. Most simply refuse to stay alone in the dark below. Whitechapel Mount once hid another mass burial beneath its rubble. When disturbed, bones and relics were unearthed to gasps of horror. Locals soon reported trembling ground and ghostly shapes in the fog. Children dared each other to approach. Most ran back screaming. Dogs bark at empty corridors. Whispers drift like smoke through the mist. And the ground itself seems to shiver beneath quiet feet. For survivors, the ghosts came not in sight but in sleep. Dreams carried back the cries, the fever, and the smell of death. Church bells tolled in their minds when the nights fell still. Many awoke to phantom sounds and shadows by their beds. The past clung to them like damp air that never cleared. Even years later, the plague haunted them from within. The living feared their loved ones would wander without proper rites. Priests were overwhelmed. Prayers gave way to hurried shovels. Families knelt alone beside bodies, whispering through tears. They begged God to keep the dead from returning. To them, ghosts were not stories. They were possibilities. Faith became the last fragile wall against despair. As London grew, its graveyards were built over, sealed beneath brick. But time does not bury fear as easy as bone. Builders still uncover skeletons when digging modern foundations. Residents nearby hear faint knocking and the crying of children. Each disturbance awakens the memory of 1665's horror. The city's ghosts lie shallow, just beneath its restless surface. The Charterhouse Museum now displays the victims' graves with care. Visitors walk where the plague carts once unloaded their grim cargo. Old records tell of footsteps echoing through the halls at night. Students saw flickers of movement where no one stood. Even today, the building feels heavy, as though it remembers. The air carries echoes of prayers that never found peace. Many hauntings come not through sight, but through sound. Groans, scraping, and muffled sobs drift through the night air. Those who live near plague pits often hear strange noises. Some say it's just the wind in the soil, others disagree. They believe it's the echoes of those buried too soon, their voices carried up through the centuries in sorrow. To 17th century minds, plague meant divine punishment. Angels and demons were thought to walk the streets unseen. Every chill wind was an omen, every light in the sky a sign. Science could not yet calm such fears. Only faith could. So the people prayed, trembled, and imagined ghosts in every corner. And London became a city where superstition ruled the dark. When the Bedlam burial ground was unearthed, thousands emerged again. Their bones told the story of human endurance and loss. Archaeologists felt unease, though few would speak of it aloud. Visitors described a sorrow thick enough to touch. No apparitions were seen, yet the present felt undeniable, as though grief itself had taken a breath after centuries of silence. Modern workers uncovering old graves often feel the same dread. Some describe the air turning cold, their stomachs sinking with unease. Others grow quiet, heavy-hearted, avoiding the sight without reason. A few ask to be reassigned far from the disturbed ground. They see no ghosts, yet sense they're not alone, as if the buried dead are still listening from beneath the soil. The stories never stopped. They evolved with the city itself. From whispered rumours to guided tours, the ghosts remain. Every churchyard and alley holds memory steeped in sorrow. The living walk daily above layers of silent history. Perhaps London's ghosts are not spirits, but emotions made eternal. The city breathes its grief through every creaking stone. Aldgate's tunnels still echo long after the last train passes. Night staff swear they hear names called softly from the dark. Sometimes there's tapping, steady as a heartbeat inside the wall. Other times, faint sobs carry through from nowhere at all. Skeptics blame acoustics, but few stay to investigate. Once heard, those sounds follow you home in silence. At Charterhouse Square, the fog rolls thick in moonlight. Figures drift between trees, dressed as if from another age. They move without sound, their faces pale and solemn. Approach them and they vanish, swallowed by the mist. Witnesses speak not of fear, but of deep sadness, as though the past still walks among the living, unseen. Over old plague pits, strange lights appear on still nights. They hover low, blue or white, flickering like lanterns adrift. Locals call them ghost lights, will-o'-the-wisp of the dead. Scientists call them gases rising from disturbed decay. Whatever their cause, their glow chills the heart to see, for when light burns where no fire lives, few linger long. The plague left wounds deeper than scars upon the skin. Survivors bore nightmares, guilt, and hollow memories for years. They heard phantom bells, saw shadows moving at their bedsides. Even sunlight felt dimmer after so much loss. These were ghosts of the mind, born from grief and terror. But for those who lived them, they were real enough. Few ghost accounts survive from 1665 itself, strangely so. Writers speak of death, but avoid tales of the supernatural. Perhaps they feared mockery, or perhaps words fail them entirely. Some horrors are too vast to capture on paper. Yet silence does not mean the hauntings never came. It may only mean the witness could no longer speak. Today, folklore and archaeology keep the past alive. Aldgate, Bedlam, Charterhouse, names whispered with unease. People still report voices, flickering lights, and sudden cold air. The same patterns repeat, centuries apart, unchanged. Perhaps the city's grief became part of its very foundation, and the dead still remind the living that memory never dies. London stands upon the bones of its own history. Every street conceals the buried cost of survival. When foundations are dug, old bones greet daylight once more, and the living pause, sensing something sacred disturbed. The city builds higher, yet its roots dig deeper into death. Each new layer whispers the same ancient name, plague. Modern ghost tours lead curious crowds through plague-marked sites. Their lanterns flicker across cobbles once slick with sorrow. Guides tell stories of cries, footsteps, and flickering apparitions. Some visitors laugh, others go home pale and silent. Whether performance or truth, the air holds a charge. History hums beneath their feet, alive and waiting. Every disaster leaves echoes long after it fades. The Great Plague carved its mark on both stone and spirit. Ghost stories grew from loss, fear, and the need to understand. They gave shape to the invisible weight of grief. The dead may rest, but their presence endures through memory, and memory itself can be the most haunting ghost of all. Legends of plague ghosts may be born from imagination, but imagination often springs from something painfully real. The bones unearthed and the houses abandoned are proof enough. They tie every story to soil, to truth, to mourning. Whether haunted by spirits or sorrow, London remains touched, a city stitched together by both the living and the lost. Our journey through London's plagued shadows draws to a close, but the story of death and courage stretches far beyond. In one quiet Derbyshire village, the infection arrived uninvited. Yet the people made a choice that changed history forever. Next we travel to Iron, the plagued village, where sacrifice met sorrow, and haunting became a legacy of love.